Hi, I'm Mandy Gavin. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado, but I'm originally from Iowa, and I actually studied industrial engineering at the University of Iowa. So my background is in continuous improvement in manufacturing. I did that for about 5 years, basically helping to improve and optimize the manufacturing operations on the manufacturing floor. I also am a certified yoga instructor, and I got into that because I'm not only interested in like solving engineering type problems, but I've always been interested in just bettering myself in any way. And I found yoga and many of the concepts within it were things that really transformed my life. So in 2021, I got my yoga certification as well. Well, when I found coaching, I thought, wow, this seems like a very good fit for my skills and interests. I've always been someone, like I said, that's interested in bettering myself, but I've also discovered that my mission in life is not only to be the best version of myself, but to use that to help others be the best version of themselves. And so coaching was just a natural fit for that. And I know sometimes people have challenges or they have goals that they want to meet and they don't want to spend all the time trying to figure out everything that they need to do to get there. And I was like, this is a perfect way for me to be able to take everything that I know and have learned and be able to quickly and effectively just help people that maybe that don't want to do it themselves. They just want the benefits of it. Um, the moment I really decided to invest in coach training, I was actually on a hike with one of my best friends, and she said to me, Mandy, logically, I know I can get to the top, but I just don't believe that I can. And in that moment, I was like, all right, sign me up. I'm going to be a coach because I want to help people believe in themselves. And so within the next week, I was signed up for two coach training programs, and the rest is history. Well, there are so many ways that coaching can make a difference for people, but I'll distill it into kind of two different categories, especially with what I do. So the first way is just overall improving the quality of someone's day-to-day life. Sometimes we can get so caught up in the goals that we want to accomplish that we end up so focused on that we lose ourselves or we create a lot of stress or our relationships get disconnected. And so coaching can help you achieve those goals, but do that in a way that you can manage all those things and still be happy when you wake up in the morning and enjoy your life when you feel good when your head hits the pillow. And so I kind of alluded to this, but then the second main way that coaching helps people is it does help people achieve their goals. And not only that, but it can help you maybe discover goals and dreams that you didn't even know you had, and maybe achieve goals that are more meaningful to you than you would have like achieved alone. So maybe you come to a coach and you're like, there's this dream job that I'm trying to land, and it's just not like I just can't seem to get this job. And the coach can help you do that. Or maybe you even find out in your coaching experience that the reason you're not getting that job is because it's not meant for you and it's misaligned and there's something that's even better out there for you. And the coach can help you find that. And maybe along the way you realize, wow, I actually also want to be a mentor for people who want this role. And I didn't even know that. And I wouldn't have found that out if I hadn't worked with a coach to understand myself and my wants more. So everyday life, happiness, and then fully creating the impact that you can have on the world and achieving the goals that you're meant to do here while you're on this earth. Those are the ways that coaching can help you. Well, I have a few different previous experiences. So, one of my biggest ones, of course, in continuous improvement, manufacturing, engineering, taught me several things that I think deeply apply to coaching, including the first thing being it was a very systems-based thinking. So I'm very good at recognizing how everything in your life is connected and seeing maybe where one thing is affecting lots of different systems. And another way was when you're problem solving, the most important part of problem solving is to fully understand the problem. And that was something that was really drilled into me in that role. And I think sometimes we make so much assumptions in our life of just in our day-to-day life problems, what the issue is, or sometimes we don't even know what the issue is. We just want a solution so fast. But the truth is, the more we understand the problem, the clearer that the solution is. So I'm very good at helping people understand their issues and finding clarity in those areas. And lastly, with that, There's this idea that just a few things can have the majority of effect on our lives. So I know there's so much like self-help advice out there, and it can feel like, oh my God, I need to do it all. But I really value helping people find the one or two things that are going to have the biggest sweeping impact overall, so they don't have to try to do everything. And then, of course, I did have 5 years of corporate experience. So career's very huge part of people's lives, and often work creates a lot of stress. And so I totally understand that stress, having to prioritize, not wanting to go to work in the morning, having workplace conflict. And so I know how to help people through those issues as well. And then some of my yoga experience, I feel like, is what really brings a lot of that intuition, grounding, connecting to yourself to my practice as well. You have to have that. If you don't have that, you will get lost in your goals, and you will eventually at some point feel like you are not connected to yourself, and you will feel lost. And so I think that element really helps people with their overwhelm, but also it just helps people with their overall satisfaction and fulfillment. So I specialize in helping high achievers. I do this because I'm a high achiever myself. And so I understand that as wonderful as it can be to have big dreams, that it also comes with many drawbacks. So I help high achievers basically to thrive and get all of the benefit out of that they can without having to experience as many of those side effects. So I help them with less stress in their daily life, just as I've said, enjoying their daily life more. I help them to reach their goals. I also help them to stay aligned to themselves, because sometimes we have such a need for success, but we're not necessarily following our own definition of success. And so then that leaves us unhappy. And so I help them to align to that. And like I said, I help them with the overwhelm. So they're not trying to do everything, they're just focusing on the few things that they need to do. So one person that I helped, he was a continuous improvement coworker, and he was in the role for maybe like 20 years. And he was having trouble at work because the way his boss was treating him made him feel like his boss thought that he wasn't good enough. And so he was really losing confidence. He was starting to doubt himself. He was starting to procrastinate his work. And our work together, I helped him to not take his interaction so personally. He found that he was actually doing that in a few different areas, and it was affecting his relationship, because when you're in that role, you have to work with so many different types of people. And so it was affecting his work overall. And when he stopped taking it so personally, he was able to show up more confidently. He had more ideas. He started connecting with people more, and they started even sharing with him, like, hey, I really appreciate your work. And then later he found out that the way his boss was treating him, he treats everyone that way. And it wasn't anything personal at all, of course. That's always how it is. So that's just one example of how sometimes just looking at that one thing in your life can, even if you feel like you're doing a good job, but there's just that one thorn in your side, how it can really just elevate everything for you. And so the things that I really enjoy most working with high achievers on would be helping them with their decision making, with their emotions, and connecting to themselves. But I love everything. So I've created a decision making module. And I created this just to help support people on decisions that they find themselves going in circles on, maybe losing sleep at night on, just, when you want a little bit of help making a decision. We make like 35, up to 35,000 decisions a day. That's approximately a decision every 2 seconds. And when I did the math, I don't remember if I took into account the time you're sleeping or not. So it might be more often than that even. So it consumes a lot of our energy, whether it's a small thing like, um, which dog food do I buy, or what do I wear today? Or whether it's heavy things like, what career do I want to choose? Or do I want to marry my partner? All those things take a lot of energy. And so just by going to something like an AI coach and having them lead the way for you through the decision making process can just make it so much easier, give you so much energy back, and you just can feel more supported and less stressed about your decisions overall. And so that's what I wanted for people. And I also wanted something that would maybe help them then improve their decision making in the future, so that it's not just for that one decision that they get help, but they've gained a little bit of skill to help them with all their future decisions as well. anyone that feels like they're trying to do everything right, but they're still not happy and they're just not sure what to try next or where to start. So maybe you are bored in your relationship, or you are stalled in your career and you're wanting new challenges. Maybe your stress is just affecting every area of your life. Or you're like lacking adventure. You haven't been on a trip in a year or two and you want to do something. Or you want to start a new hobby. So it's my goal as a coach to help you to recreate that lust for life. Like life's always going to be challenging and messy. And for high achievers, like we want some challenges, we want some excitement, right? But if if you're in a point where that's just making you miserable or bored, we want to get that excitement and that, life is messy, but it's my life kind of mentality back for you. And then I'm also good with people who experience a lot of overwhelm. As I said, I can be maybe in this interview, it's coming across, I can be very calming and grounding and very good at helping people center and, like I said, focus on the very specific things that are going to have the most impact for them. I'm also good for people who already have a high level of achievement and self awareness because once you're at that level, it's so much easier to start incorporating new ideas and really getting a lot of benefit out of them. And so I like to bring a lot of insights and perspectives for those sorts of people that can, it could just be one little thing and that just shifts everything for them. And lastly, I'm great at helping people who do experience a lot of self judgment. So maybe you think, oh, an engineer, they might be pretty critical. But the fact is that the role that I was in really required me to be objective and go into a situation, look at it objectively, and just look at the facts and understand what's going on. And that's actually something that comes with yoga as well. And in yoga, you learn like there's no right or wrong, there just is. And so that's really the approach that I take is helping you as well to be more compassionate and objective with yourself instead of critical and judgmental, and then use your own judgment in a healthy way, see what's serving you, what's not serving you, um, and in order to continue towards your goals without that stress and internal conflict. At the beginning of our work together, I will ask you questions that help me understand what approaches you will best support you from me as your coach. So um, I will also actually evaluate that or reflect on that with you and get your feedback on that a few different times in our coaching sessions. And then certain things I can vary, like it can vary the level of accountability. I can message you if you want at a certain time and be like, did you get this action done? Or I can just ask you about it at our next session. I could really help you at the end of our sessions to really drill into, okay, what's everything that might get in your way? And let's work through all that stuff so you know you can get this done. Or we can work on the main things and I can leave the rest to you. So and then also I like to incorporate clients' personalities a little bit if that's something that you're interested in. Sometimes people are really against that, and that's totally fine. But things like the Big Five personality assessment, the DISC assessment, the Myers-Briggs can sometimes just give you tidbits of quick insight that can really help me to understand what will work best for you in our sessions and whatnot. And then if you are a spiritual person, I can incorporate that in. I can ask you questions, how would your faith principles play into this? Some sort of thing like that. And then I just use my intuition and questioning of you as well and honesty with you during our time together to tailor our approaches and what you need. Well, I have a few different things that are very core to how I approach my work. So first, I do believe health and wellness is vital. You don't have to be perfect, but you do want to make it important in your life in order to feel good. In that same vein, managing your mindset and emotions, having those skills is also very critical to have an enjoyable daily experience if that's something that you're wanting to gain when you go through coaching. Now, I'm not going to be someone that is going to tell you that just by, thinking something, you're going to manifest it into existence. I am very practical and actionable, and I do know that. And I do have the philosophies and principles around you have to know what you're doing and take certain actions in an effective way in order to be able to be successful. I also find it really important to help people build their skills. You're not at coaching just to solve the one problem that you have right now. You're there to transform your skills so you can continue solving problems and growing throughout your life. And lastly, I do believe in helping you come up with your own solutions. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do. If there are times where you need strategies or want to brainstorm with me, absolutely, definitely. I'm not going to just leave you there without a clue, but I'm also not going to prescribe something for you that's not going to fit. Like, you are the owner of your life and your lifestyle, and that is a core part of my philosophy is I want you to live according to you and what works for you. That's just a main philosophy of mine, and I believe it will serve you and make you happy. One type of technique that I really like to use is helping people integrate kind of the different parts of themselves. So sometimes maybe we start something new, and we have different parts of ourselves saying different things to us. Like, we have that fearful part of us, like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? Or we have that intuition part of us that's trying to direct us, whether this is for us, whether it's not for us, which direction to go with it. Or maybe we also have that part of us that is like, things are good the way they are. Let's just not try to go into this uncomfortable new territory. And we just have so many parts of us, the self-critic, um, the inner child, things like that. And so understanding all the messages that those are sending us and then integrating them as a team, just like a high functioning team, can be really a superpower to move us forward. And so I do like to focus on that. I also definitely incorporate mindset, shifting you from disempowering beliefs to empowering beliefs, and emotions. We have to be able to experience uncomfortable emotion. If we are going out of our comfort zone, it's going to be uncomfortable emotion. We have to know how to deal with that. And lastly is that self connection and self understanding. So, as I've said, you know yourself the best, and that will serve, like, the better you know yourself, that will serve you more and more, and the happier and the more satisfied you will be. And so, doing things like listening to your intuition, or even just basic reflection, or just encouraging you to tune out the noise around you and listen to what you want and do things your way. I prioritize that. Yes. So my clients overall, they tend to say that they walk away from my sessions feeling more calm and grounded. They have more clarity. They feel more empowered. They are more motivated to take action, and they don't feel judged. They feel like they were in an entirely safe space. And they feel like they got some really practical and actionable um, takeaways. So, some things that I've helped clients with, there was one lady, her job had been taken away at her company, and they said, "You can find a new role within the company." And she was like, "Oh, okay, what am I gonna do?" And there was like 3 roles that she was choosing between, and with our work together, she was able to quickly just nix one of them, and then the other 2 she kinda had to choose between, and we really sorted through what was most important to her, and with each role, and with especially with where she was going in her life and not just where she was now and what she wanted to grow into. And she picked a role and she got it, and now she's actually going to form a team around that as well. And at the same time, she was also getting a health coach certification. And so she was like, I know I want to be a health coach, but there's so many ways that I can use that. And what am I going to do with that? And so I helped her gain clarity around that too. And her focus specifically around wanting to tell people stories with food and share recipes, and get a little bit more into photography and things like that with it. I've also worked with someone who um, they had some friends, but they hadn't really seen them very much lately. And they felt like, man, I haven't really talked to my friends for a while. Like, I don't know if they're going to be receptive if I reach out to them, but I don't want to be in my 50s and have no friends. Like, I want to be someone who can maintain my relationships. And because I know that that's so fulfilling, but it's so hard for me. He was so afraid of rejection. And I helped him realize that he was, he was afraid of rejection because then he would be left with no friends. But if he's not going out and talking to his friends, he's also left with no friends. So he decided, you know what, it's worth it. Like, it's worth it for me to put myself out there and reconnect with my friends and maybe make more friends and put in the effort that it can be so hard to do with everything going on in our daily lives. And so he's been able to reconnect with his friends several times over the months since we met. Well, as I've said already, I love learning about professional development and personal development. And so I still do that. I read books, I listen to podcasts, I just talk with people, I speak with other coaches, and then I myself have my own coach. I'm always improving, and I also get coaching mentorship on my own coaching. So those are the ways that I keep myself up to date. One area that I'm really looking to delve into at some point in the future, I kind of started dabbling, but not quite there yet, is really helping people with biohacking and tailoring their own wellness approach. As I've said, I find that so vital. I mean, you need your energy to be able to do all the things that you want to do. First piece of advice, acknowledge yourself. That is a big deal to be considering coaching and considering asking for support. That can be really hard for people, but it's honestly, it's not about the fact that you're getting support. It's like you're supporting yourself by asking and by looking for a coach. So acknowledge yourself for that. The second thing is find a coach that does resonate with you. So every coach out there can do a decent enough job coaching, but it's just whether or not they're going to be someone that really has the experiences and just the overall essence that really speaks to you. Coaching is not super regulated, so people can do it basically however they want. So that means there are a lot of different styles. So you don't necessarily have to do like 10 different consultations, but really listen to your gut about it. That's gonna be the most important thing. And find a few different people and yeah, go with a person whose content and whose demeanor excites you, makes you feel good and resonates with you. Third thing, you own the coaching process. So your coach is there as your support, kind of like if you are the CEO of your life, they're the person that can be like an advisor to you and someone to help support you, but you are ultimately in charge and they can't make the changes for your life for you. You have to make the changes. So definitely remember that. If you're not ready to make changes and you want someone else to do it for you and that's why you're looking for a coach, then this is not the right time to find a coach yet. The fourth thing is to understand that there is a learning curve with coaching. Sort of, it's not really something that people have necessarily done before, understand how to get the most out of it right away. You have to spend a little bit of time with it to figure out how it can most benefit you. So just understand that if you don't see results in the first 2, 3, even 5 sessions, that's normal. And really your results will kind of grow exponentially as you figure out the coaching process and how to get the most out of it. And in that same vein, the fifth tip I have for people is to make an investment in coaching that is, you want to make an investment because it shows you that you are committed to your transformation. It gets you excited, but don't make such a big investment if this is your first time looking for a coach that you go into a lot of debt because you might not necessarily get the most out of the coaching process quite yet, or you might not know if that coach is really the fit for you that you need, and you're still kind of figuring it all out. So find that balance between something that will motivate you, but not investing too much in something that's not quite the right fit for you. We'll come prepared with generally what you want to talk about. So you can get the most time out of your session without having to figure out what it is you even want to use it for. Also, be open to transformation. It can be really hard. Sometimes we really want to hold on to the ways that we're doing things, but you signed up for coaching to transform. So be open to new ideas and kind of willing to try on different thoughts and actions and things like that. Lastly, these two kind of go hand in hand, so I'll kind of group them together. Be honest and follow where you need the discussion to go. So sometimes we're talking about one thing and we suddenly have an idea about another thing or maybe we feel like we're kind of being scattered in all directions, but the truth is sometimes things are just kind of weavy and they end up merging together in a way that makes sense that you didn't even recognize was going to happen when you first, felt like you were going off topic. And it's your session. This is about you and your needs. There's no rules for what you're supposed to be talking about. And, if something is really off base, the coach will help bring you back to what's going to serve you. But ultimately, this is about you and you processing what's going on in your own head. And so bring that up. Don't be afraid to um, say things. You're not going to get judged. You're in a totally safe space. It's all about supporting you. So be honest, be vulnerable, and let the session go where it's going to go.